Hello again, and welcome to New Biz Buzz. My name is Leon Thomas, the host of New Biz Buzz. And on New Biz Buzz, we highlight businesses that are new, unique, or do something to help society. You're here for New Biz Buzz. Here we go. My name is Leon Thomas. Welcome to New Biz Buzz. If you are a business owner or you know someone that is a business owner that has a new business, a business that is unique, or a business that does something to help society and their community, let us know about it. We'd love to highlight them right here on New Biz Buzz. And it's easy to do. My name is Leon Thomas. You send me an email. Send it to leonthetrainer@gmail.com, and we'll get you or them on the show, and we'll talk about their business and help them promote their business. I'm really excited about today's guest. We have Pastor Dayne Carraway, the pastor of the Wells Church in Baltimore. Pastor Dayne, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me, Mr. Leon. I appreciate it.
And it is great to have you on the show. And I want to let everyone know how we met, and then we'll talk about some other cool things. So my church is going through a transition, and my church will be winding down at the end of September. And so my wife and I are looking for another church, and I went online. I go to Google, we go to Google for everything, right? I go to Google and I go new churches in Towson, Maryland, and your church popped up, and I emailed you and called you, and here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
I was so appreciative of that phone call, and we had a great time talking that day, so I'm glad we're here.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to letting everyone know some really good things about you and the church. So, here's something that I don't think a lot of folks understand unless they haven't been through it. Most of us grow up in a community and we see a church, and that church is always there all of our lives. We leave, we come back, that church is still there. Sometimes we see a new church under construction, and that's sometimes because they left this spot and moved over here. But when it comes to starting a brand new church, that's a pretty heavy endeavor to just start from the ground up. Start from ground zero up to do that. So tell us, what were you doing before you decided to start this church, and what are the goals of the church? Give us some information on what led you to where you are now.
Okay. So I started off as a youth minister in Clinton, Maryland, right outside of DC. I started that in March of 2012 at Grace Brethren Church of Clinton, Maryland. I grew up at that church, had a passion for being in youth ministry. I had an amazing, not only youth pastor, but just saw an amazing team of people who loved teenagers, devoted so much time and effort into, pouring into the lives of me and my friends and, everyone who came through that during my time period, especially. And, when I kind of got serious about my faith, the summer between sophomore and junior year of high school, I wanted to emulate that. I wanted to kind of give the same love and effort, and even that, I was hoping for the same calling on my life that I had seen in the life of the men and women who I really admired and looked up to. So as I pursued the rest of high school, even going into college, that's what I was praying for. Some people want to be in the NBA, some people want to be movie stars and football players and yada, yada, yada. I wanted to be a youth pastor. That's all I wanted to do. And not just youth pastor. I saw myself, that was it. That was the end goal. So long story short, when I graduated in 2010, I came back home and was volunteering and just trying to see what God would have me do. And at my church, the position became available, and me and my new wife at the time, we jumped headfirst into youth ministry. And early on, we found out, while we had thought we made it, this was it. This was going to be us for the rest of our lives. Early on, we just got inclinations from the Holy Spirit that this was training ground, which was weird for us because, a lot of people approach youth ministry as the stepping stone to be the real show, an elite pastor role. And I never saw it as that. I never really desired to have that. But, God just started to prep me in a lot of different ways to potentially do that. And then, I obviously had friends who were youth pastor friends, and they started to make that transition. So I got to see how God worked in their lives and got to ask lots of questions. So, time went by. We enjoyed our time in youth ministry. And, in 2019, we began the transition out of youth ministry. And in July 1st of 2019, I officially was out of that role and had finished my ordination to becoming a pastor. And, our church, with their blessing, sent us out to plant a church up here in Towson.
So you've been in Towson now. So what's that, about a year and a half? How long have you been in Towson?
So that's a funny story. So while at my church officially, sent us out in July, our house wouldn't sell. So we were out of that role, but still in the area until the first week of March of 2020, which none of us will ever forget, because it was the time period when the world shut down. But we were able to sell our home in that time period, praise God. And, 3 days later, move up to the Towson area.
How about that? So right in the middle of the pandemic, you're picking up your
Yeah.
family and you're moving to the Baltimore, Towson area.
Yes, sir.
Now, why Towson? Why Baltimore? Why not Salisbury? Why not Ocean City? Why not Bel Air? Why Towson?
For several reasons. One is a story that we always point back to when we talk about Church at the Well is, when I just think that God was just leaving, you think about the story of Hansel and Gretel, you think about the clues and just the crumbs, leading to the destination. I guess that's a bad example because that was a bad destination. I don't know. God was giving us clues along the way of what he was doing. And a very early one, I remember one of the first times we were married and we just tried to emulate what we thought Christian couples did. And we were doing devotions, and, she was in one room, I was in the other. My wife her name's Anastasia. And Anna was in one room and I was in the other, and I was reading Jonah for whatever reason. And, we were trying to discuss what God was teaching both of us. And, if you know the story of Jonah, God was calling Jonah to go to a place that he didn't want to go to. He despised the people. He had heard horrible things. So, we're just saying, man, if God was ever to call us from where we are now, because we love where we are now, where would that place be? Now, I know there's lots of people from Baltimore that'll watch this. Being honest, I was from the DC area, and people from DC, we have an elitist attitude, not just to Baltimore, but to everywhere, because we're the most powerful city in the world, and that's how we saw Baltimore. That would be Nineveh. You don't go there. If you're going to Baltimore, you hurry up, go to the aquarium, and you get out before it gets dark. You don't stay there. And we kind of jokingly said that. But as we kind of moved forward and we were more open to the idea that God may be calling us from where we were at, it just kept coming up. There was just, God just started to turn our heart, to the city of Baltimore. And I'll get to why Towson in a second, but specifically to Baltimore for different things. As you pray for a place and as things happen, you just have, God softens your heart, towards it, and it becomes a passion. I believe that passion doesn't always come in the form of, a job or a skill or a hobby. I've always had the idea that passion is best in the form of people. So that's how it happened for us, that we started to have a heart for people. I remember when the incident happened. I think it was Freddie Gray. happened, and I got to see this in the form of my wife, to where my first thoughts were and reactions were of anger and of frustration. But I remember watching the news, and I see my wife is on her knees and praying, and just out loud, weeping, not just for the people of Baltimore, but for the city as a whole, and just asking for peace. And that's when I started to think like, oh yeah, I think this is where we're headed.
Yeah.
I think this is, where, not that us being here is going to change all of those things, but I could see how God was moving our hearts towards that place. So that was, God, like that was just another, milestone in how God was moving us toward this place. And I was a youth pastor, and then one of the things when you start reading church planting books is you go to where you have people already, or you go to where you know people.
Right.
Well, being a youth pastor from the DC area, if they don't go to school in DC,
right,
they probably go to school in Baltimore. So I know a lot of our students that came out of our youth ministry went to Towson or Morgan State, UMBC, and Stevenson even. So I was starting to look at where do we already know people of peace, who already know that we have favor with folks. So that's what got us started praying for that. And I believe that once you start moving in a direction, that God will make it clear if it's the direction you're supposed to go or not to. And God never stopped us. So yeah.
Now, when you say the colleges in the Baltimore area, I mean, let's see if we can name them all real fast.
Yeah.
We've got Morgan State,
Yep.
Towson, Coppin, Stevenson,
right,
Goucher,
yeah,
Loyola, College of Notre Dame.
Yes.
All right.
There's some that like Johns Hopkins,
UMBC. I don't know. I think I ran out of fingers, but you're right. There's so many colleges here.
And specifically with Towson, one of the things that we realized was that being in Towson, there were 10 colleges or universities in about a 10-mile radius from where we are. So we knew, like, coming out of someone who enjoyed and thrived in youth ministry, I knew that I could be the type of pastor or lead pastor that would always have an ear and have a desire to see young people follow Jesus.
Yeah.
And so, while I have broadened my, discipleship really to adults and to, folks older than me, I don't think I could ever approach ministry, or I hope my prayer is that I never approach ministry without having, a younger generation, or the next generation, I should say, in mind. So.
Right. Nice. Now tell us about the significance of the church's name.
Oh yeah.
The church at the Well, and the website is
thewellbaltimore.com.
thewellbaltimore.com, and the name of the church is Church at the Well. Tell us the significance behind that, please.
Oh man, it has a great significance. I think that it comes from John chapter 4. And it's one of my favorite episodes of Jesus. I say episodes like it's a movie, right? I'm sure it is somewhere. But it's one of my favorite episodes of Jesus because in it you see, the character, you see his interaction with people, and it's really, especially right now in 2021, it creates such a contrast to how followers of Jesus are portrayed. You just see this picture of Jesus and his desire to go out of his way to reach people, and anybody. Really. So you have Jesus who comes, and if you don't know the story, I'll tell it quickly. Like, Jesus comes out of his way to where, normally the way that that the Hebrews would walk from a city to city is to go around, to literally go out of their way to avoid interacting with the Samaritans. Jesus was headed this way, and this was the way he was going to go.
Right, we used to call that taking the disco version around, right?
And I think, like, significantly, I think it kind of relates, to Baltimore. I mean, you think about like the straightest route from Towson to, I don't know what, Glen Burnie would be straight through the city. It would
Right.
take you longer, but
Right.
it also, taking 695, the beltway around Baltimore,
Mm-hmm.
allows you to, drive faster, but also avoid, going
Mm-hmm.
through areas that you may not want to go through.
Mm-hmm.
So similarly, you just see this, picture of Jesus, doing something that's countercultural. He was a rabbi. This was not just a woman, but a woman who had a past, and because of her past, she was an outcast. And you just see this beautiful conversation to where Jesus gives her truth, but he also shares love, and he reveals himself. And this is something else, is like Jesus didn't do a lot of that. Jesus wasn't, walking around saying, hey, I'm Jesus. Hey, I'm the Messiah. Hey, I'm who I am. And in this instance, you see this guy who not only, reveals his, ability to know all these things, and he talks about salvation, and he gives this woman, because of like this interaction, she has a purpose and a new sense of mission. And not only does this like change this woman's life, but it gives her a new sense of confidence that she goes back into this town to where she was an outcast from, and
Mm-hmm.
now she's boldly proclaiming this conversation that she just had,
Mm-hmm.
and to the people that she was an outcast from. So everything changes. So for us, when I thought about, when me and my wife, when we first thought about who we wanted to be as a church, and what kind of, really like represented who we are, and, how we want to approach people, has been that it was like a perfect picture. One, because you see these two people that socially should not be having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus was a rabbi, and you see this meeting at the well, right?
Mm-hmm.
To where people from uncommon backgrounds come together. And then what's offered there, you see salvation is offered. You see a sense of purpose and mission, that's gone. And you see that it's not just left up to Jesus as being the offering of salvation, but you see this woman becoming an ambassador, literally going from dark to light, and being light to people, even people that she wasn't, probably didn't have the most love for. Because of that sense of mission, it's now embedded in her. So my thing is, I'm not from Baltimore. I love this place,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that there are people who love this place more than me,
Mm-hmm.
and, if we can be the people that are not just thinking that Dayne's going to be the savior of Baltimore, the Carraways are going to do it, but no, honestly, like, recruit, and always like really just give the confidence to men and women, teenagers and
Mm-hmm.
kids, to that they can be the ambassadors of salvation in their own city, in their own, in this
Yeah.
own region. That, I think that is how, that is how the gospel goes forth. We see in Acts 2
Yeah.
the idea of Jerusalem, Judea, and Samaria. And I think that's like, kind of like our kind of mind frame.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Folks, my name is Leon Thomas. I'm here in the conversation with Pastor Dayne Carraway, the pastor at the Church at the Well. You can find more about them by going to their website, thewellbaltimore.com, a new church in Towson. So, Pastor Dayne, you don't have a physical location yet. So tell me, what type of gatherings are you having now? What's happening now?
So we are in church planner, lingo. We are in
Mm-hmm.
what's called pre-launch, which is not hard to understand. It means that we haven't started yet.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've been careful to do is not meet for the sake of meeting, so that
Mm-hmm.
people, aren't, we don't fall in love with the meeting,
All right.
So in that sense, we don't have any type of public gathering. What we are starting to do now, is we're moving to the other side of COVID, is we're starting to do events and starting to do things to
Mm-hmm.
where people can engage with us, and they can get a glimpse of a picture of who we are hoping to become.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody's interested in being a part of what we're doing, they can contact us from our website, thewellbaltimore.com. We also have an email address at hello@thewellbaltimore.com, and they can learn more about us. We are doing team meetings, and we are recruiting a team, so that, as early as spring 2022, or even the fall of 2022, we'll see what God does. We are moving towards more public meetings. Even this fall, we're hoping to launch our first small group And I'm actually in a couple weeks, we're going to be hosting a VBS at Life Church that we're very excited about as well. So we're starting to do events. We don't have any public meetings recurring quite yet, but Lord willing, that will come very soon.
And what are the dates for that Vacation Bible School?
Oh man, I knew you were going to ask me that. I believe it's August 14th through 16th.
I think that's it. Yeah, it's that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So whatever those are, pull your calendar out, everybody. It's the oh, wait a minute. Now, see, we're going to get comments from people that say you didn't give us the right dates. I wanted my child to attend, and they're going to start bad mouthing us on social media. We don't want that. It's October. It's August 16, 17, and 18. That's it.
What it
16,
is.
17, and 18.
Yes, it is. I just looked it up.
All right. So that's it. So now, get off our case. Don't start sending us stuff saying we didn't know. It's 16, 17, 17, 18. Now, let me ask you this, Pastor. One of the things that I sometimes hear people say is that pastors or even priests or whatever ministry head we want to use as a title, right? Sure. That they're not real people, right? Now, let me give you an example of when I first experienced that. 11, 12 years old, playing Little League Baseball. And there was a gentleman that was one of our coaches, and he didn't have any children on the team. He was there as a coach. And, what's your name? He said, my name is Glenn. So his name's Glenn. And we all thought his name was Glenn, right? And so, hey, Glenn, Mr. Glenn, Coach Glenn, blah, blah, blah. And he'd wear shorts and a T-shirt, and he would, give the signals on the third base coach and tell us to choke up the bat. And when we didn't do things right, come on, you can do better than that. He even would yell at the umpires, right? And then one day he shows up late for a game, and he has on all black and a collar. And we're like, well, what's that doing on? He's like, yeah, I'm a priest at the church right around the corner there. Sure. And, it was hard to, as a young boy to think a priest coaches baseball. Yeah. Right. It was hard for that. But I've been around pastors and other ministers. I know that you have lives outside of the ministry. You have families, but you also have hobbies. You may be a runner, a basketball player, a baseball player. Pastors and priests, they do those things too. Right. So let's talk about some of those things that you do.
Okay.
All right. So go ahead. So I'm going to ask one or two questions. And if there's something else you want to add and to tell me that's a hobby or something, but I'm going to get to the one that I know a lot of people are thinking about right now. You lived in the DC suburbs. Are you a DC sports fan or a Baltimore fan?
Man, I will not lie for the sake of favoritism. I have never cheered for any Baltimore team. I'm sad to say there was many questions I was asked if I would start wearing purple or if I would start wearing orange, and that will never happen. One, because obviously I'm a huge Washington Nationals fan. I've been for a long time, and I grew up in a house with an avid Washington Redskin fan as my stepfather. So I can't. There's nothing in me that can switch over. As much as I love the people, and I will say this, I've never met a fan base like Ravens fans. Mm-hmm. They're like the unreasonable admiration and alliance to that team.
Yes,
is incredible. Yes. I've had harsh conversations, but you guys love your team. I'll say that. So
yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So let me ask you some more questions, and then I'm going to give you a chance to tell me maybe there's some other hobbies you have. All right. So what's your favorite food?
My favorite food? Probably it's got to be ribs.
Okay.
Let's like this. Ribs are the best thing that I make. If somebody else is cooking, I grew up loving fettuccine Alfredo.
Okay. All right. Yes. Ribs and fettuccine Alfredo. What food do you like the least?
Oh man. Oh geez. Probably Probably like squash,
Squash. Okay.
or something in that.
All right. I
Or
saw
coconut. Coconut is it.
coconut. Okay.
Yeah.
I saw an interesting thing on Facebook yesterday that said, name something that goes good with cottage cheese. And the first response was the trash can.
Yeah. I agree with that.
How about this? What's your favorite color?
My favorite color is black. I
Black.
know
All
that's
right.
like, a cop-out answer, but that's probably what
Well, I mean, it is what it is.
I wear the most of
Okay.
that. So.
All right. Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks?
Depends how much time I have. Probably Starbucks, I guess.
So you're saying it takes longer at Starbucks?
It does.
Okay. All right. Bottled water or tap water?
Oh, bottled water.
All right. Tell us something that most people would find interesting about you.
Most people would find interesting.
Or maybe they don't know, or they would be surprised
Sure.
to find out.
I was a DJ for, I'm still able to do it, but I was a DJ for many years, going through college. I worked on a radio station. I would love to get back into it if it made sense.
Uh-huh.
I also was a mobile DJ. I did a lot of weddings and events. So I'm really passionate about music. That's probably one of my biggest hobbies.
Okay.
Sports and music, I'd probably compete, but love music.
All right, right on. And what other hobbies? What else do you like to do?
Oh man, I love playing with my kids.
Uh-huh.
They really are. They're the hobby. I think.
Right.
We spend a lot of time watching Disney movies, and they're learning to ride bikes and stuff. I love being a dad. I'm really into a lot of different sports, and I spend a lot of time in the gym.
Mm-hmm. Great. It's great that you're spending time with your children. And I had an opportunity to meet your children. Beautiful family. Met you, your wife, and family. And I can see how you'd want to spend time with them, but I also can see how, man, you're going to be tired at the end of the day.
Oh, my kids will tire you out.
You're going to rest well.
Need a nap after you went home.
You're going to rest well. Folks, this is Pastor Dayne Carraway, the pastor of the church at The Well in Baltimore. You can learn more about him and the church by going to their website, thewellbaltimore.com. You can follow them on social media too. They have some really nice videos on YouTube. You'll hear Pastor Dayne delivering short messages, so you get a chance to get a sense of his teaching and preaching style, and some very nice videos there. And you get to see his children too. They're doing a great job of marketing. And if you're looking for a church or haven't been to a church in a long time, or thought, I need to start going to church or anything like that around church, you should give the Well Baltimore a look at. You should check them out. Check them out. And again, the website is thewellbaltimore.com. Pastor Dayne Carraway, thank you for spending time with us today here on New Biz Buzz. It's been a pleasure to talk with you, to learn more about you and the church. And we pray that things are a great success here in Towson and Baltimore, and look forward to having you back on the show, maybe as things continue to grow for the church, and give some updates. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
Folks, my name is Leon Thomas. You just watched an episode of New Biz Buzz. We highlight businesses that are new, unique, or do something to help their community. We just had Pastor Dayne Carraway from the Church at the Well in Baltimore. To find more about them, go to thewellbaltimore.com. And if you would like to be on this show, or you know someone that would, send us an email. Send me an email to leonthetrainer@gmail.com. Thanks for watching New Biz Buzz. Here we go.